Man, do I have a treat for you today. With me today is Amy Ionello, the director at Elevate Med Spa. But before I get to that, there's a couple of people I have to say thank you to. And I don't even know where to begin with this one. Let me start at UFC. And I want to shout out UFC for a million reasons. Not just because I'm an employee, but because of the opportunities they've really given me. You see, I never saw a place really stick to their word with the loyalty that really they did. And let me explain this a little bit so you understand. They recruited me pretty heavily. And through the process, I end up on a ventilator. I'm incubated. When I get off that ventilator, I'm paralyzed. And, they had a training and I wasn't able to attend the training. I'm just incapacitated at the time. But everybody just really stuck by me. And I always remember, no one asked, will you get better? They knew I would. Nobody asked, how quickly you would progress this? They knew I would. And, it's kind of the branding of a fighting spirit and where that really comes from. And really, I want to shout out Ryan Utzman for somehow always managing to navigate me back to where I'm supposed to be. To Mike Keller, because when I went to make a decision on leaving a previous spot and having all these offers, I remember being out in Hawaii for a wedding, and that'll come out a little bit later. But I remember, wanting to experience the clubs on the West Coast just to see what they were like and the branding was like. And I actually wanted to sit down with him just to help me, make a decision at the particular time. And I remember, he says, we'll have dinner on Monday. And I remember being there for 4 days before that. And, we go around. I go from club to work out because I had him back and I'm like, I need to get in these clubs. Let me see what they're like. So I go from one club to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'll always remember what an experience was, what the demographic there was, what the client base there was, the energy that came out of the club, the environment, how competitive everybody was. And I'm like, we didn't even need to sit down to dinner at that point. That was the place for me. And let me shout out everybody who really supported me throughout the time, between Jason Roberts, Alex Salim, everybody who really got me going, who starts business 2 days before the club really opens. But I got that opportunity. I want to thank everybody along the way. Matt Vistoso, Tyrell, Darrell, everybody that really got me there, really gave me the opportunity to really build a bridge. So shout out to UFC. It's one love. Thanks. I don't know if I make it back that way without everybody's support. And here I am, and here's the opportunity. And we talked about on our previous podcast, there's no such thing as a self-made man. Along the way, somebody helped you, somebody opened doors, and somebody got you that opportunity. Now, one by one, I've had the opportunity to bring guests along. Everybody helped me rise along the way. And today's no different. So let me take a second and introduce Amy Ionello. Hi, Amy.
Hi, thank you.
Amy, give the audience your background.
Hi, I am very honored to be here today with you, by the way. My name is Amy Ionello. I'm a physician assistant. I've been a physician assistant for 26 years. Okay, I do look younger though, right? There's a reason behind that one.
But of course.
I am the owner of Elevate Med and Aesthetics. I have been practicing medicine, as you can see, for 26 years. I got into the aesthetics world a little bit after COVID. I've worked in the emergency room, and during COVID, it really kicked my you-know-what. And at that point in my life, I realized it's time to move on to something else. We opened up the Med Spa in Plantation, Florida. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's been a beautiful journey, meeting a lot of great clients and doing a lot of wonderful services.
Let's get down to them. So for ones that were successful for me, I want to still start off with IV therapy, specifically glutathione. Can you touch on that? I want to touch on NAD. I want to touch on Myers cocktails and anything else you offer on the IV channel first.
So we have an IV suite. We have a couple of nice recliner chairs in there. We offer a different variety of IV therapy. The standard IV therapy, and then I do a lot of individualized IV therapy based on your conditions and what's going on. The day that you came in and saw me, I think you were having a gout flare-up.
Right.
Right? So it's a very simple treatment. You know, you need some fluids, you need some anti-inflammatories, and to detoxify. So that cocktail we kind of made up for you. You know, we offer the standard Myers therapy, immunity, you know, inner beauty, like skin boosting, those kind of things. You know, of course, the hangover cocktail, some for headaches, sports and recovery. You know, there's many different things that we can do and to get you on your way to recovery.
One I'd like to touch on recently. So, you know, and I didn't really discuss with him whether I'm going to call him by name, so I won't. But, you know, I brought in a client who had mono recently.
Yes. Yes.
Can you explain that protocol a little bit? Because that was what a turnaround.
So mononucleosis is a virus by the Epstein-Barr virus. It stays in your system quite a while. The biggest problem with mono long-term is fatigue. The fatigue will kick your butt. So what we can do for that is, you know, to give something to help build up your energy levels, right? You can start off by doing an IV therapy, get a lot of B vitamins. Specifically with him, I know we did a lot of anti-inflammatories, did some peptides for him. BPC 157, amazing peptide, by the way. Helps with gut health and inflammation. And then a methylated B complex is used for detoxifying and gives you some energy. And you know, we do these as a concierge kind of thing, individualized for that individual person to help them get on their way.
Yes, he had a number of, I remember he's type 1 diabetic. There was a number of issues that forsaken him at that particular point for recovery.
Right.
So, but the turnaround was out of this world. Let me change gears a little bit on that. And I've now sent a couple of clients that have had some issues losing weight.
Right.
And they're of the, shall we say, perimenopausal variety?
Right. So, a few things. With women, you can actually start perimenopausal symptoms in your 30s. You can still have a regular menses and still be perimenopausal. You may not know. You really, in your 30s, you really don't test your hormones because nobody really thinks about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, no
shit.
offense to anybody out there, but women are looked at very differently than men. If you walk into your physician's office and you're saying, I'm not really sleeping well, I'm always fatigued, they don't think, hey, let me check their hormones. That is not the first line treatment. They think of, oh, well, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe you're sick. If you're fatigued, you've got joint pain, you lose your sex drive, you know, your skin is dry, perimenopause. Hot flashes, night sweats, perimenopause. The most important thing is to get those hormones tested. One of the most important hormones in women that we don't think about is testosterone.
Let's get into it because it's funny. You know, there was 2 studies in the 80s, early 80s, and both of them demonized both testosterone, and they were even pushing away from progesterone, even though the version of progesterone they used, you would never really use on anyone. Right.
And even estrogen back in those days too. They said, oh, you can't take estrogen. Well, it was the way the estrogen was formed.
Right.
So it's very important as a female to get your testosterone levels done, not just total, but free. You know, you make sure you go to a clinician who understands the hormone therapy. You need to get your testosterone. You need to get your estrogen, progesterone, LH, FSH. You know, highly recommend getting your homocysteine levels done in CRP. Those are basically inflammatory markers. Another very important lab work is vitamin D. So if your vitamin D level is low, this goes for men and women both, it will naturally bring down your testosterone level. So if you start supplementing your vitamin D, your testosterone level is going to go up. That's one.
We'll often talk about raw ingredients for testosterone: zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, saturated fat, and cholesterol. So I'll let you go from there.
Right. Some of the other things to mention for these females and being perimenopausal is you start noticing your midsection changing as a female.
Right.
You hold on to a lot of visceral fat. Mm-hmm. These women who come to see me, they have not changed their eating. They have not changed their exercising. They're doing everything that they've been doing the same for the last, say, 4 to 5 years. Now, they notice as years go on, they're gaining weight, like maybe 2 pounds here, 5 pounds there.
Right.
Next thing you know, over 2 years, they've gained 20 pounds.
Wow.
And they're so frustrated. Why can I not lose this weight? What is wrong? What am I doing? I'm barely eating, which is, the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
Because then you lower your metabolism.
Crash our thyroid too. Yeah.
Right. So now there's the GLP peptides, glycogen-like peptide, which are used for weight loss. There's a few of them that are available on the market today. And when you start taking them, you lose your visceral fat.
Let me cut you there. Let's get right into the peptides, because where we're going is peptides is next. But I'd like you to differentiate between the GL1s and in itself.
So they call it GLP 1, 2, 3, right?
Right.
So as everybody knows, Ozempic, GLP 1, it's been the first one that's been on the market. It was, FDA approved for diabetes. Right. And then they found that with that, people were losing weight. That's the first one that got the FDA approval for weight loss.
Right.
GLP-2, Mounjaro, tirzepatide, and then the weight loss one is Zepbound.
Right.
So now that has 2 factors in there. It helps with the glucagon and with the insulin. With that, it's basically the same thing. Appetite suppression, decreases visceral fat. It slows down the digestive tract so you feel full faster. It suppresses your appetite, those kind of things.
Right. I've seen most of the side effects. A lot of them can be worked off if you change lifestyle.
So that's key. What I tell everybody, these drugs are not miracle drugs. It is used to kickstart your lifestyle change. Lifestyle change, meaning exercise, eat appropriately, drink plenty of water. Because if you start eating, fatty foods or continue to eat fatty foods with these, you're going to experience more of the side effects.
Side effects, yeah.
Unfortunately. There's a new one which is not FDA approved. It is still in the phase 3, I believe, clinical trials called retatrutide.
Now, my understanding is retatrutide takes the actual sugar out of the blood and converts brown fat. I'd love you to elaborate on this for me.
So it's funny, when I was in college many years ago, I was doing studies on brown adipose tissue in mice and what cold would do to that. Like in a cold plunge,
right.
It burns fat, right? So with the retatrutide, it doesn't have as much of the appetite suppression as the other 2.
Okay.
You have to give it time to work. I tell people, give it about 2 weeks to see how it works in your system. The best way to use that medication is to microdose it 2 to 3 times a week. Slow and steady. You are going to start to see the fat melting. It is a fat burner. People who don't really need to lose weight,
right.
You can see bodybuilders are using it.
The whole physique community seems to be trying to get on it now.
Right.
That's the secret in the physique community as we speak.
And it affects your, fat burning ability. It affects the insulin, affects the glucose. It lowers your hemoglobin A1C. Anything that increases your hemoglobin A1C is so bad for your body. You know what lives off of sugar? Cancer.
Cancer, yeah. Actually, if you go on the American Diabetes site, you're 6 times more likely to have heart disease as well.
Exactly.
So,
diabetes is a very difficult disease to treat, but you can change it. I've had people who have been seeing me who have been on diabetic medications, high blood pressure medications. They've lost the weight, and they've lost the weight the correct way. Don't take diabetic meds anymore. Don't take blood pressure meds anymore. Exercising, eating appropriately. It's an amazing peptide for, I think, our society, to be honest with you.
And we're still waiting FDA approval.
Still waiting FDA approval, yes.
But yeah, the results I've seen have been pretty insane to this point. So
they're amazing. They're amazing. And you will hear, which I'm sure a lot of people have already heard, the Ozempic face, right?
Yes.
So the Ozempic face is you lose weight too rapidly. if you go to a clinician, it's a slow and steady.
How much of that, by the way, you think is a nutrient deficiency?
Significant.
Okay. I was going to go there too. Okay.
Because the
great.
problem is it's muscle wasting.
Yes, agreed.
Not only are you losing fat, but you lose muscle.
See, with most of the data that's out there, it's been a decline in bone density and a decline in muscle mass just as much as fat.
But that is not just from the drug. That's what people are saying. Oh, Ozempic causes bone cancer. Ozempic causes osteoporosis. It's not the Ozempic. It is the lack of nutrition.
I would not only agree the lack of nutrition, I think here's the problem. You ate a really shitty diet, and then all of a sudden you decided, I'm going to add an Ozempic, which is fantastic, except for you weren't getting much nutrition to begin with, and now it declined in half.
Exactly.
Right. And we continue to go from there, and that's where the muscle loss is. The other thing that would offset it, and I've been able to do it in practice before, is strength training 3 times a week.
So now let's hop right back to those perimenopausal women, right? So they want to lose weight. So I tell all of these women, let's get your hormones in check. Let's start you on some hormone therapy, be it, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, put you on a GLP-1 to help, lose that visceral fat. The visceral fat contains estrogen, right? Estrogen-based cancers, it gets lower once you lose the fat. All of these women, I tell them, you need to do weight training. Weight training, weight training. Stop running, weight train. And that's where you're the expert in.
But that's funny you mentioned that. So, it's funny. I got a late night message one night from somebody who put on 12 pounds of lean muscle in the last year. And I got to shout that one out real quick. So I'm just kind of curious as to how long have you been resistance training?
Oh, God, a couple of years now. I stopped running probably 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay.
And I only lift. And my heart rate gets up to the 140s, 150s consistently just with lifting weights.
It's funny because we've had this conversation several times. And on my initial second podcast, you're going to find we spoke about, cardio. The term cardio refers to your heart, not some hamster wheel. So whatever it takes to get there and spend 20 minutes within there happens. So, I got to do cardio this way, or I got to do cardio that way. Nobody defined that for you. I can set a barbell complex up for you. It can be a light barbell. You can do it for 20 minutes. And I promise you're going to be in 140 to 160.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
for most people, that's anaerobic threshold. So.
Right. And to be honest with you, so back in the day, in my 20s and 30s, I was a marathon runner.
Okay.
I was the skinny fat girl.
Yes. It's kind of funny, and I point this out regularly to clients. The professional athlete with the highest amount of body fat. And you always hear the same answer. Sumo wrestler. No. Marathon runner.
Because we don't lift.
Well, not only do you not lift, but the level of activity breaks down muscle in the process.
Right. So since over the last 4 years, I've been only doing weightlifting. I am 52 years old. This is the best shape, best body composition I've had in my entire life. So I also am a client of the things that I have, right?
Right.
So I take the testosterone.
Okay.
I'm perimenopausal. I take the progesterone. I take the estrogen. I did the GLPs. Now I just microdose it. I don't need to lose weight. I do it for the inflammatory factors, the cognitive function factors, and the fat burning.
Let me slow you down, because this one's going to take a lot of heat. The most important hormone in a woman's body is?
Testosterone.
Ooh, can't wait for that to come out. Now, let's discuss this real quick so we can go on that. So everybody understands, you're going to have less than 30% of them males, but it's still the most important hormone in the body for both cognitive function, muscle building, joint integrity, bone structure. So can we continue along that line? And I kind of want to discuss its combination with progesterone in that spot, especially for perimenopausal women.
So when you start going through the perimenopausal stages, women can't sleep. They're up half the night, or you go to the bathroom, you have to pee more often, and then you're sweating, so you rip the sheets off, and then you're freezing, you put the sheets back on. You can't fall asleep, you can't stay asleep. Progesterone balances that out. You take your progesterone at night, you start sleeping.
Would that not also limit the anxiety that most of these perimenopausal women are currently feeling?
100%.
Okay, can we do SSRIs, please?
Oh.
Shit.
So, SSRIs. I don't want to be negative on the SSRIs.
That's okay, I'll take care of that.
But you should not be placed on an SSRI for your menopause symptoms. Treat the root cause. Treat the problem.
You see, so we have a system of treating symptoms, and, to get everybody brainwashed back off that is sort of difficult. And for the last 30 years, they've let women kind of suffer, especially in that category. And there's a
100%.
couple of things, let me point out since you brought them both up. If a woman is, estrogen is neuro and heart protective.
Correct.
And the group
Skin too.
Skin too. Very good. But the group that is the highest, has the highest rate of heart attacks or cardiac arrest is women 55 plus.
Right.
For the same reason, they can't sleep, blood sugar rises.
Because your cortisol levels are through the roof.
Your anxiousness could be on top of that to even bring the cortisol levels higher.
Right.
And we're now counting bodies everywhere we go. So this should have been offered as a proposal years ago, but 2 studies can demonize a whole culture that doesn't even want to go back and look why.
And they're still afraid. Still. Today. Even though they deem those studies no good. Not valid.
We're in sort of a suit culture, and we're sort of stuck in a box, and
Right.
you almost need the hierarchy to come down to present this is safe, this is effective, and this is why. And it almost doesn't matter how many times they do that.
But it's not
because
going to
this is-
happen. Yeah. That's not going to happen. You have to, listen, do your own research. Talk to your friends. Trust your own gut. Talk to people. Talk to somebody like you. Talk to somebody like me. We can help advise the ways to go.
I would agree. I think this is part of this show started because, and I'll always say this, there was nobody advocating for me. And now I advocate for everybody else.
Exactly.
So you see how when we,
I tell people that all the time.
You know me rather well. I stomp my feet to advocate for everybody else.
Right.
Not really to stamp my feet for me.
Right. Now, since we did mention the testosterone, men.
Let's get into that because I didn't give my guys any time.
Right. So listen, everybody talks about TRT in men. It's very popular.
Right.
Testosterone therapy in men. I have people who come to see me in their 30s and they want testosterone therapy. It's a very difficult conversation to have, because if you start exogenous testosterone, which means outside your body,
Right.
then for you to start developing your own, it's going to be difficult in your 30s. There's other things you can do besides just straight testosterone. There's, enclomiphene, there's HCG,
Right.
vitamin D,
Right.
and I'm always going to go back to vitamin D. Always.
It's funny, and that's very funny. So I have a client in front of me now, and with a low vitamin D, who's just hopped on TRT. And while the strength numbers have went through the roof, he doesn't feel optimized yet. And I think sometimes there's a number of reasons. One, it's sort of a trial and error initially.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So 3 months worth of blood work, you adjust A, B, and C. We need to see, and you're going to have it every 3 months the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes, because if your testosterone is low, it's low.
I would agree.
And the thing with men in their 40s, 50s, you're not going to make more testosterone.
The only issue is I would have appreciated if they made sure the lifestyle quotient was in check first, because I think sometimes they think I'm gonna get a little bit of this and I'm gonna look exactly by that guy over there, and you don't eat like him, you don't
100%
sleep like him,
right.
You don't do cardio like him,
right,
and you're not really, it's not the I want to classify it this.
Okay.
It might be a big quotient in making a man a man, and I would understand that, and I understand why men think that. But it's not the end-all, be-all in that particular spot.
No, so listen, when I see men, I ask them a variety of questions.
Right.
Brain fog, not recovering well from their workouts, not being able to do the workout to their ability. And of course, there's, the whole libido thing with men.
Okay. I also think there's one more thing that's sometimes missed. Enthusiasm, drive to do things.
Absolutely. That's men and women both, too. So the way that I like to do it in my clinic is, I'll get your baseline blood work. If your vitamin D level is low, I put you on vitamin D. Even if it's mediocre, take vitamin D. The majority of us out there are vitamin D deficient.
Right.
You're going to get energy from it. It's going to increase your testosterone. And by the way, testosterone back in the day was used to treat heart attacks. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So way back in the day, don't mind the graphics, they crushed the testicles from mice,
right,
and they gave it to people who were having heart attacks because testosterone is a vasodilator. So people who get testosterone, you can get that surge of energy, vasodilator. Yes, you can get some headaches from it. That is one of the side effects because it vasodilates the vessels, which you can have in the brain, but it vasodilates everywhere.
You recognize most gentlemen are under the impression because some of, we'll say, pro bodybuilders or / steroid users using an exogenous amount
You're not going to be like this.
Have growth in the left ventricle of the heart, and therefore they think the heart expands and leads to heart attacks.
So that's completely different. So that's left ventricular hypertrophy, right? So that is something completely different than what testosterone does in the vessels.
Correct.
And the testosterone you and I are talking about is medically monitored. The left ventricular hypertrophy from those bodybuilders is extraordinary levels of testosterone, extraordinary levels of steroids. It's not what the everyday person should be taking.
The moniker I tend to give clients is 2 aspirin might help your headache, but 10 will kill you, or at least get your stomach pumped.
Exactly.
And you could actually, obviously I've never met anybody who has, but you can actually drink an amount of water that will actually drown you. So like the extremes are kind of extreme.
Right.
So if you do extreme things, you might get extreme results, but you'll come with extreme consequences.
Right.
Like anything else.
Right. So, you get on your testosterone therapy, next thing you know, for men and women both, you feel great. You have energy. You've got that drive back.
Right.
You're back in the gym. Now, if you go back to the gym, you start working out, it's this beautiful cycle. Oh my God, I'm losing weight. I feel good. I'm going to go back to the gym tomorrow. Oh, I'm not going to eat that cookie.
How about an increased amount of productivity, even at work?
Exactly. And it's just a simple medication. But you're right, it is very monitored through blood work. 4 weeks right after you start, every 3 months, you have to stay on top of it, which I monitor everything at the clinic.
Okay. And not to promote the product, but I got the coolest thing in the world from you a couple months ago. It was a precursor NAD. Can you talk a little about that?
So that's like the new buzzword, right? NAD.
It is.
Everybody's talking about NAD. So what NAD does is it works on the mitochondria of the cell, which is the powerhouse of the cell. Gives you an amazing amount of energy. It's what they call like the Ponce de Leon, right? The fountain of youth,
yes.
right? Because it's used for skin regeneration. It can turn back time, supposedly. It's amazing for your cognitive function. Amazing. I think NAD is very well used in a monitored setting.
Now, would you say as a precursor supplement or as a injection or as IV?
So you can get it in a variety of different ways. You can load yourself up and you can do an IV. It's a tough IV to go through, I'm not going to lie to you.
3 hours, yeah.
It's 3 to 4 hours. Some of the side effects are like, flushing, nausea. Again, very well monitored. You monitor the vitals the whole time.
Right.
You can do injections. You can do it intramuscular. You can do it subcutaneous. And then you can also do oral. They have pills and they have something called the liposomal, which is a liquid that you kind of leave in your mouth,
Okay.
I don't know, 30 to 90 seconds, those kind of things.
Okay.
And it's good to...
Transdermally absorbed?
Buccal mucosa.
Okay.
And the thing that I like about the NAD, like you can do the injections for 2 weeks, take two, and then do the oral. Do 2 weeks in injections, then do the oral. You have to kind of give your body a break.
Right.
And that's with all peptides.
You think that's receptors picking up, and you need to relax the receptors before they get too comfortable with
Because, yes.
the sensitivity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do 2 weeks of the injections, and then I will do the liposomal. And then I'll do 2 weeks of injections, and then I'll do the oral pills, So I'll kind of switch it up a little bit. But since I've done that, my energy level skyrocketed.
Since you brought up BPC, there was an interesting study I'm reading about BPC and both either exomes or
Are you talking about stem cells?
stem cells in general. Yes.
So BPC 157 is a peptide. Stem cells and exosomes are completely different.
Forgive me, they were discussing the combination regrowing cartilage.
Okay. So BPC 157 is used for a couple of things. It comes in an injection form. It does also come in oral, the liposomal, or the strips. It's used in gut health because BPC 157, it's actually made in your own gut.
I've seen a lot of practitioners, functional medicine practitioners, use it for both Crohn and colitis.
Yes.
Crohn's and colitis, yes.
Yes, exactly. And then it's also used for tendon repair, muscle injuries. I actually have a gentleman who comes in who gets an injection because he has a partially torn Achilles tendon. And he didn't want to have the surgery. So since we've been doing the injection towards the site, he's seen improvement.
Wow. Okay. My curiosity on this, you understand, I began it, but my experience with it was this. Obviously, I suffer from myasthenia gravis. It's not a secret anymore. Hippocrates had always said disease began in the gut. And when I look at it that particular way, I said, okay, listen, my stomach's been out of whack for so long. Every time I go through a flare-up now, let me go back to BPC. Right? Within 3 days, the response is dramatic. But what I didn't expect was I had a college ankle injury where I got scoped, where I tore 2 ligaments in a game, got scoped a couple days later. And in the South Florida, we'll call it hurricane season, I can wake up in the morning, don't have to see the sun, don't even have to know where it is, take my first step and tell you if it's raining outside or not.
Yep.
And wow, within a week, it just went away.
It's a beautiful anti-inflammatory, and it's used for repair. So now, if you think about it, if you use BPC 157 and you use it in conjunction with GHKCU, which is another peptide. Remember, peptides are just amino acids.
GHKCU, forgive me for the audience, is known to regrow.
So it's an anti-inflammatory as well. It has some copper in it. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it is amazing for your skin and your hair. Amazing. But if you use the two together, it will help also heal, joint pains, chronic knee pain, those kind of things. If your shoulder is bothering you, it helps with all of those inflammatory factors as well.
Now, have you when we talk about, can you explain the difference between exomes and?
So
go ahead.
Stem cells we produce, right? Stem cells you can, it's naturally in your body.
I remember trying to get a set when my daughter was born off the umbilical cord. Yes.
Right. So there's different types of stem cells out there, and you really need to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
So stem cells, people are now using, it is allowed in the state of Florida, intramuscular and IV. Ron DeSantis approved that July 1st of this year.
Wonderful.
And you can get it IV or intramuscular. Obviously, you have to make sure you're getting it from a very known clinic and that they know what they're doing. You can do this for tissue repair. You can do this for neurovascular problems. We have a gentleman who had a spinal cord injury who we are talking about doing a protocol of stem cells.
Okay.
Stem cells can also be used for, again, regeneration, turning back the time, making you look youthful, making you feel fantastic.
Right, regrowing skin. Yeah.
Now, exosomes are secreted from stem cells. So exosomes are tiny, tiny little particles. And we can also use exosomes intramuscularly and IV. So we have been using exosomes for a while at our clinic, topically on people after you do radiofrequency microneedling.
Okay.
And that is an amazing recovery for the face because now they get in and they stimulate your skin tissue. Increases your collagen, increases your elastin. Now you get this nice, plump, glowing skin.
Right.
You can also use that for like any CO2. You can mix the exosomes with something called PDGF, which is platelet-derived growth factors. You can use it with other peptides that are topical also. It's a huge new area for growth of stem cells and exosomes that now are available in Florida. Before, you had to go out of the country to get these things.
Yeah. Do you typically mix those with peptides?
So the exosomes and stem cells that we get, they're made with peptides and growth factors. They're already together.
Already together, okay.
And I've seen amazing benefits on people. So you'll do like a radiofrequency microneedling, and you're usually red, right? Your face feels hot. You can use it with a CO2 laser, and you have all of these open channels. It decreases the healing time, and it just improves the quality of your skin. It's amazing and beautiful, and it lasts.
Love it. I got another question on this one. Since you brought up CO2, how are you using CO2 in practice?
So like a CO2 laser?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a skin laser resurfacing. It targets the like superficial layers of the skin, and it helps with fine lines and wrinkles and hyperpigmentation.
Now, does it stimulate the collagen to regrow in those areas to fill in the blank, or?
It does to a point, but I would add the exosomes on top of it to do it more.
Understood.
So you have to think about it. Any injury to the skin, any thermal injury to the skin, even just regular microneedling to the skin, it causes damage. Any type of damage to your skin, it's going to increase your collagen and elastin because that's what our skin does. It regenerates once it gets damaged. And that's how you start getting that more youthful effect.
Okay. So off topic, and I'm going to go change the direction real quick. Any morning rituals that you are currently doing?
Me?
Yes, you.
100%.
Give up to us.
So I take testosterone, as I said before, progesterone, estrogen, perimenopausal. It has changed my life 100%. I sleep better. I don't have the night sweats. I'm not as moody. I have that energy level back. My recovery is better from working out. So that's my hormones. I take CJC, which we didn't even talk about.
Okay.
So CJC is a peptide, and it's actually a good peptide to use in conjunction with the GLPs, which are the weight loss ones, because it shreds the muscle and it increases muscle mass and it gives you some energy.
The enhanced production and growth hormone?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And that you can do as an injectable or you can do in strips as well.
Right.
The other thing I take is the BPC 157 and GHKCU. Now I understand you're thinking, my God, she does a lot. It's a lot of injections. The GHKCU and the BPC 157, I do the strips. Just because it is a lot of injections.
Explain the strips. I know sublingual, but explain the strips for the audience, please.
So, do you remember back in the day, the Listerine strips?
Oh, that's nice, yes.
Right? So that's what these are. You literally put it on your tongue and you let it dissolve. You get the same benefit as the injectable, but you don't get the injection fatigue because the injection fatigue is so real. I'm already injecting testosterone. I'm already injecting the GLP. I'm already injecting the CJC. Enough.
Yes,
Right?
I understand, yeah.
And then I do the NAD as well. But you have to understand, peptides are to be cycled. This is not something that you're on all the time. 5 days on, 2 days off, 2 months on, 1 month off.
Now, do you do that even with BPC? Like, I understand CJC.
Yes.
You do that even with the BPC too?
Yes.
Okay.
All peptides, all of them. Yes.
And this is to keep the sensitivity with the receptors?
Yes. Because you don't want your body to get used to it. And then the other thing that I've recently done, which completely kicked my you-know-what, is I did a cold plunge.
We were talking about that earlier.
Oh my God. you are really vulnerable. You know that you don't realize how vulnerable you really are. I put my body into that thing for 20 seconds. I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Hyperventilating, completely freaked out. And then you change your mindset, because cold plunges are amazing for your body recovery. But I think personally, the best thing for the cold plunge is your mental health.
Now, I know you're going to give me the dopamine response, and I'm fine with that, and you would feel the same way. I guess when you say your mental response, detail it.
So when I went back into that cold plunge for the second time, I really had to focus, and I was staring at like whatever was over there, and I was practicing my deep breathing, because we just did a little meditation with deep breathing, which is extremely important to do.
Right.
And I was just focused in breathing, no longer hyperventilating. And you mentally push yourself. It's a mental challenge to push yourself to stay in that freezing cold water. But it makes you stronger. It definitely makes you a stronger human.
The analogy I like to give everybody a lot of the times is, in this lifetime, we get sort of comfortable. And I need 3 minutes a day, 3.5 minutes a day to be uncomfortable. So I remember how to battle all the time. Now, I don't have to be ready for war, but just so I know I'm ready, just so I know my mind isn't at ease.
Right.
The other part is the dopamine response is real. I feel like I can work with 5 people at the same time a lot of times. And the focus and the mental clarity is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
But just like you, I hate it all 3.5 minutes of it every single time.
You hate it. And you're a chicken, right? And like I said to myself, I'm like, I need to do this again to prove to myself I can do it. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Because it sucked.
Yeah. It's when you get out, and the response is absolutely amazing. And not just, everybody's going to talk about anti-inflammatory, and I think that's wonderful. And, there's some research now trying to come about does it change white fat to brown fat? And I understand all those things too.
So they're saying you burn you're in there for, 2 to 3 minutes, you burn about 600 calories of brown fat.
The thought pattern, and I understand it is, listen, I have to warm up the body, heat shock proteins, understood all. My issue becomes, and it sometimes is, eat without all of those things, just the cognitive change.
That's
might be
huge.
Worth it by itself.
I agree, 100%. So one of the things I do when I first wake up in the morning is I meditate. I literally go out in my backyard, I put my feet on the ground, and I meditate.
Now, do you have an app you follow, or?
No.
Okay.
No app. Just kind of do it. And then something else that I do that we actually offer at the med spa also is hydrogen tablets. I drink hydrogen water every single morning. It gives you energy. It's better than caffeine.
I would agree.
So what the hydrogen does is it stimulates those red blood cells in your body. And the red blood cells moving around, now they have more hydrogen, you get more energy from it, because now they're pumped up and they're ready to go for the day. It's great. And then I take, my supplements. I take vitamin D too.
Now, is your D mixed with K2?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay. And you're a calcium. So we often have this conversation. You have a number of women that are going through osteoporosis, specifically in that perimenopausal class.
Of course.
And they will shotgun 1,200 milligrams of calcium with low vitamin D, low serum magnesium, and no K2 in the bloodstream.
Right.
The calcification ends up in the blood.
Right.
And nobody seems to improve. And I don't know it's kind of like the SSRI to me. You've been on SSRI for 15 years. You thought it was going to kick in when?
Right. Do you know how hard it is to get off of those SSRIs?
Yeah, it can't be done cold turkey. I've seen that done before. That is a mess.
It's a mess. So, for me, when somebody comes into the med spa, I like to do a consultation first. And I like to see what everybody's goals are, what their issues are, and then we kind of figure out the direction to go, be it in wellness or be it in aesthetics. Because, of course, I'm a med spa, so of course I do the aesthetics also. The Botox, the fillers, the biostimulators, the hair laser removal, those kind of things.
Now, when you see those people, do you do an InBody on everybody?
100%. Because I need to know, so what the InBody does is it tells you your total weight, your skeletal muscle mass, and your percent body fat. So some of our weight loss clients, they will come in and they're like, I'm not losing any weight on the scale. I'm not losing any weight this isn't working. I'm like, go on the InBody. Well, that's great. Your weight has either stayed the same or gone up,
But 3% body fat.
but your percent body fat dropped by 3%.
Yeah, happens.
And your skeletal muscle mass went up. So you are doing amazing.
So you look like you're losing weight to everybody else, but you're not really losing weight on the scale.
Right.
I've seen it so many times.
And I'm sure you tell everybody that. Stop looking at the numbers. How do you feel? How do your clothes fit?
I always think it should be 1/10 of the data. Your actual body weight.
Yeah.
It should be 1/10 of the data. But everybody makes it 98% of the data, which becomes an issue. So,
Right.
and I think there are multiple factors that go along with that. And I think sometimes, even when computing their ideal weight, they're not really realistic based on dimensions. It's somebody else's number. It's somebody else's number. It's kind of like diet, where 1,200 calories for a girl and 1,850 calories for a guy. Who came up with this shit?
But the most important thing is, how much protein are you taking in?
See, here's the thing. They're going to have difficulty with nutrition within those blocks. I mean, no matter who you are.
Right. And that's why you really have to have a good understanding of your nutrition and what you're taking in and putting in your body. Because what you're putting in your body is what's going to make you go throughout the whole day.
Agreed. So, Amy, tell the audience where they can find you.
We are in Plantation, Florida, 9781 West Broward Boulevard in Plantation. And this month is August, so this month we're actually doing a special on peptides. So you can come on and see us and get some special on the peptides.
Is that everything? Is that the CJCs of the world? And
Everything. And for men and women who are actually having some issues, right? We've got something called PT141.
Melanotan, look at that. Okay. Something for you all to look forward to. Listen, in this world right now, if you're not getting blood work, if you're not trying to optimize your health, if you're not trying to take steps forward and take every advantage to live longer, healthier, you're missing the boat. You have all the problems in the world until you have a health problem.